Sorry, Mr. Sparkle. I'm sorry your dog's not loving my humming. How is everyone doing tonight? I hope everyone's doing well. Let me pop on. Hello everyone. Before we get started, I want to quick say, oh no, the music stopped. Wait, where's the music? Where's the music? Where's the music? There it is. Not the same music, but there we are. Hello everybody. I hope everyone's doing well this evening. Just wanted to quick say, because I just saw it in chat. First off, Tammy Mack, welcome to your first live stream here. Heart to you. I'm so glad to see you. I hope you're doing well, my friend. Welcome to the first, I already said that. Well, I'm saying it again. Welcome to the first live stream here. But also, slightly more importantly, Tori Thompson, I just wanted to say, I'm so sorry to hear about your Nana. That's absolutely horrible. I had a similar thing. I lost my Nana about a year ago, actually, now that I think, a little over a year ago. And it was, really difficult. I lost my grandmother. I called her my Baba. And so, I'm very sorry that happened, Tori. So I'm sending you all the love, and I'm glad that Star Trek is helpful. It helped me, too, during that. And I just want to let you know, that you are seen and that you are loved, and I hope you know, Tori, that you are absolutely wonderful, and I'm sorry that you're going through that right now. So sending you all the love. But yes, beyond that, again, love to Tori. But beyond that, I just want to say hello to everybody. For those of you who are new to this and this live stream, basically what I do every single Thursday here on this channel, I just do a little chat stream for about an hour or so. I might jump off a little bit. I'll tell you all what I'm working on at the moment, and so my headspace is probably I'm coming off of a weird moment right here to get back to live stream. But I'll go for about 45 minutes or so. Usually an hour. Maybe I'll go an hour today, depending on if I get caught up and stuff. But I just chat with all of you, discuss what all of you are thinking about, what you all want to hear. If you have topics that you want me to discuss or go over, it can be, it can be something really big and important and topical and rough. And I'll try and give my take on it. If there's some topic that I don't feel comfortable talking about, I'll let you know. But otherwise, you're welcome to ask me about anything. Big topical stuff, or it can be silly, weird stuff like my favorite episode of Star Trek or whatever. I'm happy to answer all of that. I try to pay attention to the live stream and what everyone's saying and discussing. Obviously, I can't pay attention to everything and everyone, so apologies if I miss you or any of your stuff. And then also, secondly, super chats are greatly appreciated because they do help me pay the bills. They are what helps run this channel and keeps this channel going and me, fed and getting to, eat and all that fun stuff. So if you do give a super chat, I give you a heart, and obviously I answer your question, and thank you for that. But beyond that, I'm just here for you, and we talk about what all of you want to talk about. So that is generally what is going on with me. I see some super chats. I'm gonna quick get to them, but I just want to forewarn everybody. Apologies if my energy's a little bit weird tonight, because I'm feeling it a little bit. Just because right now, quite literally up until like 2 minutes ago, right before this video went live, I was working on a script about harmful creators that we deified, like Joss Whedon and J.K. Rowling being the two sort of examples that I'm using in the video, and how that dynamic of deification both creates this sense of entitlement in them and also harms others around them and things like that. And so that's the script that I'm currently in the middle of writing, so I'm hoping to film this weekend if I can get the script finalized, hopefully tomorrow. So my brain's currently in that mode, so apologies that I'm like taking a hard shift to do the live stream, because I was like hoping to get it done beforehand, but my brain just shifted. And then once the live stream's over, I'm gonna have dinner and then shift back into writing the script. So apologies, my energy is just a little bit weird tonight. Hopefully it'll be fine in just a minute or two, but just wanted to let you know. Just know that before we discuss before I get into anything, and then that's basically what I'm working on right now. But I do see some super chats and other people discussing stuff, so I just want to quick. Finley, apologies if I said your name wrong. Thank you so much. You just watched your video on transphobia in The Last of Us Part 2 community. Amazing work. Well, thank you, Finley. I'm glad that the video did decently when it came out, but I wish more people had been talking about that dynamic in the Last of Us community and how harmful it is. There's always that sort of thing about like constant trans, like that's the whole thing with, there was an actual trans character played brilliantly by Ian Alexander in The Last of Us, but the whole thing with The Last of Us Part 2 is that there was transphobia before the game came out because of the leaks, and many people assuming that the I forget her name, but the like antagonist character in the game, who was more muscular, and was a more built woman character, and she was a cis woman character. But before the game came out, there was some controversy over an action that character does in the game. I won't spoil. That pissed off a lot of fans. And because the fans are pissed off, there was a ton of transphobia leveled at this character because there was noticed that there was a trans character in the game and this character was more muscular. And so it goes to like that turf. It's not actually, it goes to that whole turf idea of like, turfs like, well, like turfs are like, well, we hate gender roles and gender roles are dumb, but we're like, because trans people reinforce gender roles. Also, we're gonna say all trans women look like men, but then you constantly see turfs like insulting cis women who are more butch presenting as like, oh, you're definitely transgender, you're a disgusting man, when it's like, I'm a cis woman, I'm not trans at all. Sort of and like showcasing the hypocrisy of the argument about how they're the ones actually reinforcing gender roles, as opposed to what they say trans people are doing. And you see that same dynamic not just in TERF communities, but in like a lot of like transphobic discussions that The Last of Us Part 2 community epitomized. So anyways, sorry to go off on that tangent. It's something that I'm thinking about currently. And so you just reminded me of that. So I hope that was, thank you for saying that you liked that video, because I think it's like an interesting video to discuss that dynamic within that I don't think we see enough discussion of, like that constantly cropping up, especially within TERF communities, but in a lot of like discussions on trans people. But let me get to the super chats, because I have missed a few of them. Kestra, heart to you. Thank you so much for your super chat. You said, I got the job I applied for last month. I start next month. Thank you so much for everyone for your encouragement. Yay! Kestra, yes, congratulations. That's absolutely amazing. I know that you were like worried about the interview and everything. That's absolutely wonderful, Kestra. Heart to you. That's so great. I'm so glad for you. Congratulations, my friend. Oh, that makes me very happy. I hope it goes well. You'll have to keep us informed how your first weeks and months and everything goes. I hope it's a job that you end up loving and are fully respected in and appreciated in, because you should be. So I'm really hopeful for you. Thank you very much, Kester, for sharing that. Andrew Clegg, heart to you. Thank you so much for your super chat. You said, tell us some good news about your life, Jessie. I'm trying to think of like recent news. Nebula stuff is going really, I mean, that's like businessy stuff. I don't want to say that necessarily, because that's just sort of like businessy things. Stuff with Nebula is going cool. I'm very glad for that. But let me think about personal stuff. Oh, you know what? I'll announce this here, and this is something I'm very excited about. I'm going to, COVID permitting, so we'll see how COVID goes. But I just bought tickets and got the hotel room for Star Trek Mission Chicago, the big Star Trek convention that's going to be happening in Chicago in April. And I'm very excited to go. I got the tickets last night. Shared that with my Discord server. And thank you, everyone in the Discord server, for being excited for me. So I'm very excited to go to that. It's going to be my first. I've been to many conventions that had Star Trek elements of them, but I've never been to, and I know me of all people, I've never been to a Star Trek specific convention. And I am so freaking excited about that. So I'm very excited about a Star Trek specific convention and going to that in Chicago. And there's a few people on the cast of Star Trek that I've done interviews and stuff with, that have said that they want to meet and like say hi and like give a hug to, and I'm very excited to hopefully be able to do that again, COVID permitting. And then also meeting like other people in the fandom and like Star Trek folks. I'm like very excited about the whole ordeal. So yeah, we'll see how that all shakes out. Like I said, it's all COVID permitting, so maybe the convention will get canceled. I got everything, like my plane ticket and everything is refundable. So, if they do that for safety, I totally understand. I'll be saddened, but my hope is to still go. But obviously, I want them to do what they consider to be, in the interest of safety. I prefer them do whatever's the safest sort of choice, or at least accommodate safety as best we can in these times. I mean, meeting other people at this point is just never going to be 100% safe at this point. But hopefully, we can find some sort of balance within that. And if the balance is we can't do it, that is what it is. But yeah, that'll be really cool. And NCC 1701, Chris, that'd be great if you go to the convention. Hopefully, I'll see you. Yeah, I'll try to at the convention if we can, like, see if I can go like set up a bar day. Like one of the evenings, I'll like be like, I want to hang out at this bar. So if anyone wants to say hi, we can come meet and say hi. We'll see how that all works out. But yeah, it should be fun. But yeah, that's something I'm excited about. Also, something else I don't know. It might end up being nothing, but I'm remaining mildly hopeful for, but I don't want to get my hopes up too good. But I called my my surgery place today because when I spoke about, as many of you know, my surgery, my FFS was canceled, and I called them last week and they rescheduled my my appointment to August. So that's why I was really upset in the video that I shared recently about like I have to wait months and months and months for the surgery. But when I called them, I just said, put me down for August. I just need to make sure everything else worked out in my life, that I can like make sure that worked, like signing leases and stuff, because I have to like sign the lease of this apartment, all that jazz. So it was like a soft, like, put me down, make sure I'm in there. I'll give you a hard confirm next week. So I called them today to get a hard confirm, to just say, hey, put me down. I want that spot. And if there's anything opens up, let me fill into that spot. And they didn't tell me anything specifically, but the lady on the phone who like I was speaking to, she was sort of like talking to the lady who does the scheduling, who I've talked to before, who had rescheduled me. And she said, she said, basically, what she said? She said, oh, she was going to give you a call next week because she figured she needed to get some stuff set up, and then she's giving you a call next week, which seemed weird to me, because it's like, why would she need to give me a call next week if my job was to get the hard confirm? So it could be the other way. It could be, they need to push it even further out, which would be even more disappointing. But there's also the possibility that maybe she's calling that it'll be sped up. like there's an opening. We'll see. So that's what I'm hopeful for. But it also could be the other direction, being like, oh, see, we can't do August now either. So we'll see. But yeah, so that's not good news nor bad news, but it could be good news or bad news. So there's just something I'm thinking about. Mossel Green, heart to you. Thank you so much for your super chat. You just said, I want to share 2 Facebook posts with you, but can't in a super chat, so I'll send you this so Senpai will notice me and then link them in the chat. Please feel free to share them, Mossel Green. Heart to you. Thank you so much for your super chat. I appreciate you, but feel free to share them. I'll open them up if you send them in the chat. So I'll just put them in there. I'll put them up. I'll open them up. But let's see. What else do we have? Trying to catch up on here. Today's National Holocaust Remembrance Day. I did not know that, Mr. Wicked Wolf. I'm not Jewish, and that's something I should be more aware of. So thank you for letting us know, Mr. Wicked Wolf. Definitely something that we should be be paying a lot of attention to still. Obviously, the National Holocaust Day and everything that went on with that. So sorry, it brings it down, but it's important to recognize that as well. And also a lot of issues with anti-Semitism in a lot of different spaces today. We were speaking about. Lady Knight the Brave, who's another fantastic YouTuber just speaking in YouTube space. She was speaking the other day on Twitter about some anti-Semitic comments that she gets quite a bit, which is deeply unfortunate and deeply scary. So just something to be thinking about, especially today. Again, I can't speak too much for that because I am not Jewish. And I know that the Holocaust obviously affected a lot of LGBTQ people and trans people as well, quite obviously. But it's not something that I, as a community, that I feel a direct connection with in terms of the harm that was enacted because of that. So it's important to take moments to think and talk about that with the Jewish community and other people who were directly impacted. So. Oh, Psychic Refugee, heart to you. Thank you so much for your super chat. I really appreciate you. You were absolutely wonderful, Psychic Refugee. Heart to you, my friend. It's good to see you, by the way. I hope you're doing all right, Janie. Catherine Lembath, heart to you. Thank you so much for your super chat. It's good to see you as well. You said, fingers crossed you get a sooner surgery date. I just accepted my new job in San Jose. First job with manager in the title. Hell yes, San Jose. Hell yes. That's the job you were speaking to me about the other day. Yeah, that's wonderful, Catherine. Congratulations. By what you described, that job was absolutely amazing and perfect for you. So I'm very excited for you. That's absolutely wonderful, Catherine. Puck. Heart to you. Thank you so much for your super chat. You didn't say anything, but mwah, you are lovely, and I appreciate you, my friend. You are absolutely wonderful. Heart to you, Reinhard68. You said, Jessie, I feel we have a loving community, so I'm sharing my father's been diagnosed with terminal cancer, and they gave him 6 months to a year, so get tested if you have a history in your family. Oh, Reinhard, that's gotta be horrible. I can't even imagine. My dad, both my dad and my stepmother got diagnosed with cancer. Thankfully, it was, it was handleable. My dad was able to deal with it. My stepmother got breast removal to deal with that because she had breast cancer. So I was very lucky, but it's a very scary thing, and I can't even imagine what you must be going through because of that. That's so much worse than the fear I felt with that. So Reinhardt 68, I'm sending you all my love. That is rough, my friend. Mwah. I'm so sorry. Mwah, mwah, mwah. And yeah, I do have it in my family. I do plan on getting tested for it. So Reinhardt, I'm so sorry, my friend. See, I'm catching up. Petite Flower, you did make a Joss video before. I found it. How is this new one different? This new one, I mean, it's been a minute since I watched my old Joss Whedon video, but this new video, as I said, it's going to be speaking about... the one that I'm currently working on is going to be speaking about entitlement. And basically the concept that I'm going to be hopefully getting at is how there's this binarized culture around culture. I don't know why I suddenly became like a Valley girl for a hot second. Culture, for a hot second there. There's this binarized culture around creators like this, where we see them as either God or eventually they fall from the pedestal and become absolute horrific demon villain people. That we see with Joss Whedon, right? He was seen as a god, seen as this progressive icon, and then fell over, and he's become this deified person. Not without reason. But it's constantly seen in those terms, that binarized terms, and so this discourse around them gets seen in the binarized terms, but also how they themselves start to see themselves in binarized terms. So Joss Whedon was a man This is actually going to be helpful for me to talk out because I'm currently in the middle of writing it. But Joss Whedon was a man who was told he was this progressive icon, right? And it's a similar dynamic that I actually spoke about with my Gene Roddenberry Sex on Star Trek video. A man who was told he was this progressive icon because of the work that he did that was very important, that did move the needle forward on these issues. But because of that, he gets seen as this cult of personality, this god. And because of that, there's this culture that comes around him where he himself sees himself as entitled to everything around him because he is seen as this god who can do no wrong. And so when that doesn't go his way, he lashes out in anger. And you see that you see that like enacting harm and not seeing agency for people. And so you see that in a lot of the allegations against him, this refusal to see other people in the world as their own active agents, because he has been so venerated as a person. But then when things get challenged and we start to see that play out, and the harm that was played out because of that, he topples from that pedestal. And our discourse then becomes this binarized discussion surrounding these creators, where it's like we're either defending him. There are people, not me, but there are people that defend him and say he was this great guy because they still are clinging on to that idea of perfection. Or he's a horrific villain who was a hack and never made anything good and his work was trash. And I think that because that discourse happens, it removes our ability to discuss why this dynamic gets created and why it gets perpetuated and actually deal with the harm. And it allows the people in the middle of all of that, the people who were harmed already, like Charisma Carpenter, like Kai Cole, Joss Whedon's ex-wife, like Ray Fisher, to become symbols of this dynamic as well and not actually get addressed their issues, and them to be attacked and vilified as well and sort of seen in this culture war context. So it's either like we stand by Ray Fisher or we don't stand by Ray Fisher, and it's all horrible either way. And I'm not trying to let Joss Whedon off the hook. I don't have much empathy for him for the problems that he did and caused. But the point that I want to get at is like there's nuance here to discuss our veneration of him and why that caused this dynamic to occur and why these things occurred because of that. But also how the current binarized discourse isn't helpful either. And how we need to look at like how his work, number one, is both good in what it gave to us, but also harmful and representative of a lot of his own internalized stuff, because the world of Buffy, for example, is a world filled with men looking to attack women and feel entitled to women. And there's a certain aspect of that that's like part of Joss Whedon's psyche. But we need to hold those things in equal measure. But we can also separate that from the man and talk about the man as well, separate from that dynamic too, and say like he made important work, but also he was harmful. And also there's a certain element of like understanding that we can give to where this behavior came from, and we should not let him off the hook for it, nor should we necessarily like over sympathize or over empathize with him, but to understand why that dynamic got created so that we can address it and make sure it doesn't happen anymore. And so that's sort of the like idea that I'm trying to get at with this essay, is sort of breaking down that sort of binarism that, number one, caused all this to happen in the first place, and then perpetuates the harm and caused the harm to happen in the first place, and not only perpetuates it now because it's still binarized, just in the opposite direction to a large degree. And then I connect that with J.K. Rowling, because J.K. Rowling's views are very similar, but she has the dynamic is very similar to J.K. Rowling, but somewhat of an opposite side of the coin. Because J.K. Rowling is, unlike Joss, her career is still being upheld. And while she's enacted harm, her career is still in that spot where she is much more like in the middle of being demonized and venerated. And we need to discuss how her deification enables people to continue harm and perpetuate harm, and use things like saying, I support J.K. Rowling as a way to hide transphobia. But also discuss like, we need to also be able to like actually get at the core of like what's the problem is, instead of just being like J.K. Rowling is trash. We need to discuss like what is actually going on here, and we don't necessarily get at it because we're so binarized and things become this giant gobbledygook of discourse. And so that's basically my discussion. Is like it's hard for me to have like a distinct thesis on it. It's more just like the deification of these creators is what causes the dynamic, causes the harm, and because we stay in those binarized terms after the fact, once this gets revealed, it allows us to erase the nuance and actually let the harm get perpetuated, because we're not actually looking at the creators as people, but as symbols. And so whether they're still venerated or deified after the fact, we need to take better accounting of like what the actual harm was done, what the dynamics actually were, and discuss them. I think that's the sort of discussion that I'm getting at with that, and hopefully that'll make sense once I get into the discourse on it. But that's sort of what I'm hoping to really hone in on with the essay. So hopefully that'll be understandable and comprehensible as I get to it. So. Noah, heart to you. Thank you so much for your super chat. You said, I sent a long message in 3 parts, but TLDR, you are one of my fave creators. I love your perspective on things, and you've really helped me process my thoughts about my own transition. Oh, Noah, heart to you. Thank you so much. You are lovely. I'm truly honored by that. Mwah. I do want to say, sorry if I missed it in the chat or wherever you sent that message. I want to say thank you to everybody who sent me messages recently. I got a lot of messages after my last surgery video and all the things there, and I got a lot of people sending me nice comments, emails, and Patreon messages in kind words after that fact. And I just want to let you know, because of the amount that I've received, I have not been able to respond to everyone. I feel bad about that. This is something that I want to talk a little bit more about as a creator in some ways, is that like, I want to be able to reduce. You all have been so kind to me in terms of responding to my work and saying how much my work means to you. And it means a lot to me to hear it and see that. But I also, like, you give so much of yourself you share a lot of yourself with me in those letters, that I want to, when I do respond to them, to try to give back the same energy and appreciation that you have shown to me. But unfortunately, because of the amount of them, I don't have the energy to do that, or else I'd be doing it all day and not be able to do other things in my life. So I hope that everyone understands that I want everyone to know that I read every single comment. I still read every single comment, and I hope to aim to read every single comment as I can on videos. I try to like all the ones that I've read, at least ones that I find to be kind, even ones that disagree with me. If they're kind and thoughtful, I always try to like them. But I also read every email. I read every Patreon message and comment on Patreon and things like that. I read every single one. Unfortunately, I don't always have the time to respond to every single one. But I try to read every single one, and I try to feel every single one. Unfortunately, my energy is not always available to respond to every single one. So I just want you all to know that I love you and adore you, and I appreciate your kind words. And please, they do mean a lot to me when I get them. So thank you, Noah, for that. I just don't want, I just feel bad knowing that I can't always respond to every single one. In fact, I was actually reading sorry, I apologize. I'm going off on little things, but I was reading, Brent Spiner did a really fun, like, fake Brent Spiner, the actor who played Data. He wrote a really funny, like, pseudo autobiography earlier this year that was like it was an autobiography, but like a slightly fictional one. Like, it took elements from his life behind the scenes in Star Trek: The Next Generation, but also like had like a plot to it and like a murder mystery plot to it, which is a lot of fun. Very nerdy, a lot of fun times, but it also like incorporated real things from his life in the book. So it was sort of like a pseudo autobiography. And one moment in the book that he sort of spoke about playing Data, who is much bigger than I am as someone like that meant a lot to people, obviously. Data's meant so much to more people, but he talked about like how he'd go and get like talk to people that Data meant a lot to, and he always felt sad because he didn't always have the energy to respond with the kindness that people gave him. And I'm like, wow, I feel that too, because you want to give people the love that they give to you, but you don't always have the energy to give back the exact amount. So I just want you all to know that I adore you and love you, and I appreciate all your comments, my friends. So don't ever feel that I didn't care if you never get a response from like an email or a comment. Just know I read it and I feel it. I just don't always have the energy to respond to it. But know that I see it and it matters to me. So that's all I want to say with that. Getting into more super chats here because I see someone I'm missing a bunch. Sorry. Captain Omni, heart to you. Thank you so much for your super chat. You said Joss is a man who thought he was an icon, but he knew it couldn't last. Joss wrote a horrible Wonder Woman screenplay to keep his California grass. Yeah, I mean, I'm getting into some of that. I mean, that's part of what I'm going to be talking about in the video. How I mean, it's what I talked about with Gene Roddenberry in Sex and Star Trek, right? When we venerate these creators who are seen as progressive icons, they start to see their work as less extensions of their values and more extensions of themselves. Like I spoke about with Gene Roddenberry in Star Trek, the problems that happened with Gene Roddenberry, especially later on in his life, but you can even see it during his work on Star Trek, the original series, is that he did a lot of great work, like platforming women of color, platforming women in general, and that sort of stuff, and championing these issues, if I can speak. But it all kind of became an extension of himself. It wasn't him necessarily breaking down the system, but putting these people in these places so that he can get the credit for having done that. And you see the same thing with Joss, and that gets even more aggressive down the line, where because he's been so venerated as Gene Roddenberry, the creator of Star Trek, the great bird of the galaxy, when that vision gets challenged and other people want to have a voice and say in the vision that he helped inspire, as well these people should in some ways, because Star Trek was never just made by Gene Roddenberry, nor should Star Trek only be owned by Gene Roddenberry. It should be informed by his ethos in many ways, but it's not just his voice. He was just a man, and his vision, capital G, capital V, is what inspires a lot of people, but it's not just him. It inspired others to have their own visions. And so it just becomes an extension rather of him, his legacy, rather than of the inspiration, the values that he inspired. And the same thing you see with Joss Whedon. There was this sense of entitlement to a lot of the people around him. You see it in his wife. He spoke about the reason that he had affairs on Buffy the Vampire Slayer with his wife. He even states this in his interview. Like, his quotes literally are saying, like, I felt like I had to sleep with these women. I had to. I was entitled to. I had to take sexual advantage of them, but I also wanted to have the marriage too. I could do both because I'm so great. I can do both. And so whenever that's challenged, he gets angry, like with Ray Fisher. Ray Fisher in Justice League, Ray Fisher was concerned about, his own career, obviously. And then also, like, the depiction of Cyborg, who was one of the first black superheroes in a DC movie of this scale. Not to erase Catwoman or Steel, two other black DC superhero characters I made before. But, this was an important piece of representation for black folks with the character of Cyborg. And Joss Whedon came in and started reducing the role for maybe his own creative reasons that, real, legitimate or not. But when Ray Fisher pushed back against that, Joss Whedon said, I don't take notes from anybody. And instead of listening to what Ray Fisher was saying about this representation and his own ideas, it was more Joss Whedon couldn't be bothered because it was his vision alone that needed to be listened to because he was the god. And so that's sort of the dynamic that I want to hone in on, if that makes sense, in a lot of ways. So speaking of Joss Whedon, and I mentioned this in my video, Vera Wild, Council of Geeks, is in the chat. Love you, Vera. You are wonderful. And yeah, Vera did a great video on Joss Whedon as well. That goes over more of the specific history. My video is going to be more of a big picture overview of these dynamics. Vera did a great job getting into the nitty gritty. So if you want a great video on the nitty gritty of Joss Whedon, I'll be linking it in my own video as well. She did a fantastic job. So please check out Vera's video on Joss Whedon, because she goes into the beat by beat. Here's all the exact quotes. Here's the analysis of everything with Joss Whedon. Whereas my video is going to be more I'm going to be sort of taking bits and pieces of that to sort of showcase the argument that I'm making, but I'm not going to be going over every single piece and I'd be there for forever. But I'm just sort of be talking about the specifics of the dynamics that I need to get at. So just quick getting to more super chats here. Heart to you, Edward. You said, bing, bong, boop. I got rid of my Twitter because nuances lost so easily. That's not the point engaging. With that said, Whedon is a scumbag. Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with you on Twitter, especially. It's Twitter is a place where all discourse is binarized, right? That's where it goes to become, Twitter is there for quote tweets and clapbacks, and it's all creates a binarized antagonism. I mean, YouTube, all social media platforms have kind of been built on this too. There's no chance for that's why I tried on my YouTube channel, just let's come down and talk about this in a non-confrontational way. I'm never here to be confrontational with my issues. I'm gonna come here, even if it's a hot button issue, my goal is I'm not gonna be screw that person. I'm gonna be that person did these horrible things and we need to hold them accountable for that. But I'm not here to disrespect their humanity or their sense of like worth as a living being, but holding them accountable for their actions. And so social media, Twitter being one of the worst examples of it, is just creating a space where everything needs to be the best or the worst. You're awful or terrible. And so there's no nuance in that, obviously. Dorian R, heart to you. Thank you so much for your super chat. Absolute power corrupts, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I do tend to agree with that. I mean, there's nuance even in that statement, but there's some people that say that power reveals. And I can also see that too, that once you're given power, it can reveal aspects of your character that you didn't get to see before. But I do tend to believe that, like, this is why I'm an anarchist, if we're going to get into my politics of it, it's why, and when I say anarchist, I don't mean like tear everything down. When I say I'm an anarchist, my political view is basically saying that power systems need to inherently justify themselves. It's not that power systems are, we should let them just go on and run unchecked. Is that every single power system needs to justify itself as, if you're holding a position of power over somebody, if we're ceding aspects of our control over our lives to other people, that needs to be justified instead of taking as inherent. And so that's what I mean by anarchism. And so, because I do believe that, like, when people are given power over others, that there is not only chances to be taken advantage of, but there comes a sense of, like, because as human beings, we need to justify our place in the world, right? Our brains center ourselves as the center of our own stories. We every single one of us, all of us, myself, everybody, we place ourselves as the heroes of our own tales. And so when we are given power over others, our brains naturally try to create a story that justifies us having earned that power. And so the more power you have, the more our brains are going to naturally try to justify us having it. It's the same thing we see with millionaires and billionaires. Like, I earned this power, I deserve it. I deserved this money because I earned it. Instead of recognizing that, like, no one should have that amount of power over anybody, no matter if you sold books really well on a website or, you made weird cars that people seem to enjoy. Like, no one is owed that much power over others. And so, because we justify that, I think power does corrupt in that way, because we try to justify it. And so when you justify it, you've created now a story where you not only justified your use of power, but your ability to wield that power. And so that's sort of like what I try to get at with that sort of idea. So yeah. Catching up on stuff. Sorry, I'm just getting to the next super chat here. Mac the Knife Heart 2, thank you so much for your super chat. You said, hi Jess, you just here after a creative writing class, so I'm a bit late, but glad to be here. Oh, well, thank you, Mac the Knife. I hope the creative writing class went well. I haven't had a creative writing class in a while, and I really wish... that's the next hurdle that I need to get to. I want to write more fiction. I've said this before. I need to just do it. I want to write more fiction, and I haven't been writing as much fiction as I want to. That's my next big, like, aim to hurdle, is to get at more fiction. So... but I hope the class was well, and I'm glad you're here, my friend. Sean McCormick, heart to you, thank you. You said #1 fan. Thank you very much. You are lovely, Sean. I appreciate you. Mwah, my friend. Let's see. Looney1023, heart to you. Thank you so much for your super chat. You said, hi, Jessie. Curious if there are any small creators whose work you enjoy that you want more people to check out. Much love. Yeah, I'll quick shout out. Let me pull up a list here, because I'm always bad at, like, recommending off the top of my head. Foreign Man in a Foreign Land is an immediate one that I can totally think of, just like immediately, as like, you should go watch Foreign Man in a Foreign Land. I've been watching his stuff. He just did a great video today about Snoop Lion. Did a really, really great video, very insightful, and he's a fantastic creator who is going to take off. Like, I know for sure Foreign Man in a Foreign Land is going to take off very, very soon. I'm surprised he only has 20K followers and viewers right now, and he's definitely going to have more in the very near future, as he well deserves and well should have. Let's see, who else here? Laura Kate Buzz. Laura Kate Buzz, if you have not been following Laura Kate Buzz, who does a lot of work with Jim Stephanie Sterling over on their channel, but obviously also does a lot of her own work talking about accessibility in gaming, working in games journalism and things like that. She just did a really great discussion of Pokemon Arceus, Pokemon Legends Arceus, which went viral a while ago, but I think all of Laura Kate Buzz's work is absolutely phenomenal, and I'm disappointed that she doesn't have more more views. Also, she wrote a great book on being an autistic trans person. So if you want more information, I'm doing a video on autism and trans people, and I have her book as references as one of the reference points. So you should definitely check out her work there. So Laura Kate Buzz most definitely is another creator. So I'm just like scrolling through some recommendations here. I'm not gonna be able to give you all of them because there's too many great people, but I'm just trying to see who's popping up on my list here. Why is it all big creators? My thing is just showing me all big creators. I'm trying to find people who are smaller than me. I mean, Mia Mulder, she's technically smaller than me, but I don't know if she's considered small. But Mia Mulder's also great. Love Mia. She is fan-freaking-tastic. Yeah, for some reason my brain's bad. Oh, Lola Sebastian too. Lola Sebastian's another great creator you should check out as well. Lola Sebastian does amazing video essays. She did a great one on Disney just a little while ago, and also another great one on Call Me by Your Name, which is a really great analysis of that film and the problems and benefits of it. So that's that. Those are some creators I would definitely call out. Bookworm of the Fandoms, heart to you. You said, hello, Jessie. Wondering if have you seen the movie Encanto? It's We Don't Talk About Bruno. No. We don't talk about Bruno. I mean, that's my favorite song. If not, do you think you might? And if so, favorite song, my favorite is Surface Pressure. Surface Pressure is really, really good, too. I love Surface Pressure. My favorite though is We Don't Talk About Bruno. It just got stuck in my freaking head. Yeah, Encanto is great. I'm not the best person to talk about it. People from that culture are probably better able to analyze that movie, but I think that's a fantastic film. I really, really loved it in the music, and I loved the lower stakes of it, that it wasn't this big grand adventure, but it was just like a family working their crap out. And, you know, there was like magical stuff and powers, but it wasn't like they have to save the world or save the town. It was just like they have to save their family. And I think more films need to learn from, like, the lower stakesness. Like, I want films to have lower stakes. It doesn't need to all be, we need to save the world. And I really appreciated that about the movie. And there's so much more about that movie, too. The themes and ideas about family and recognizing family as people, not as a unit, I think is also really great as well. So, Petite Flower Heart to you, thank you so much. You said, thank you for that really great answer, really nuanced topic, and your takes always address all the angles. Oh, thank you very much, Petite Flower. I appreciate it. Heart to you. Yeah, as I always say, you know, I try my best to look at all the angles, but I'm also going to miss some stuff too. Whenever I say nuance is a thing, as like my kind of catchphrase, that nuance also applies to me. I'm going to I have a certain perspective, and, you know, my perspective is obviously going to be, you know, seen through my own lens, and I'm going to miss some stuff. So nuance is a thing. I always try my best to try and bring as much viewpoints as I can to a thing, but I'm obviously going to miss some things, and I try to reach out to other people to address that as best I can, but I appreciate that. So thank you very much. Brutus, heart to you, said, you're only one woman, we understand being worn out. Well, I appreciate that, Brutus. Yeah, that we were talking about that before, but I appreciate that very much. Yeah, burnout is a very real thing, and I've felt it a lot of the time. No, it's one of those things that's like difficult on this platform, that like you're constantly, you know, being upfront with people. And, you know, I always want to try and be open and honest with all of you. But because of that, it can get tiring. So I appreciate the understanding on that front. It really does mean a lot, to be honest with all of you, that all of you do kind of understand that, like, I'm a human being and there's only so much I can give. Chloe, heart to you. You said, I have a PDF of Wonder Woman. Let me know if you need a copy for reference. I might. I think I have a copy somewhere, but I need to dig it up. I don't know if I'll bring it into my video. I might, but there we are. So, quick catching up with super chats, but I also want to make sure I catch up stuff. Hey, I saw you in Signifier's live stream. Oh, yeah. I hopped in. FD Signifier had Foreign Man in a Foreign Land on his live stream yesterday. And I just popped in the chat to say hi real quick. I was working on some other stuff, but I did at least say hi, because they're both FD and Foreign are beautiful human beings, like beautiful souls. They're also beautiful people as well, like physically, but I meant they're beautiful souls, so. Catching up on stuff. Anyone keeping track of the drama going on in Reddit with r/antiwork? Yeah, that's a whole can of worms that I don't want to get into right now, but it's frustrating on so many levels. For those of you who don't know, I mean, there's the r/antiwork. I'll just kind of touch upon it here, just because I think it's something that I want to talk about, but I don't know if I'll have time to within the time frame that it's relevant, so I'll touch upon it here. For those of you who don't know, r/antiwork is a Reddit forum that one of the fastest, I think it was the fastest growing Reddit forum, and it was all about people like pushing back against this, our culture today of constantly needing to work, of how our culture today forces us to constantly be working, and not just like saying like, oh, you're forced to work at a company, but you're like, our culture says that you need to work in order to live, and people that can't work in order to live, like people who are disabled or are unable to find a job, convicts, stuff like that, they basically cannot live in our society. And then how also, because of our society constantly burning people out, we burn out. Exactly, like there's no sense of being able to rest, to recuperate yourself, and everything is seen as needing to be for this greater project of humanity, and everyone needs to contribute in equal ways, and if you're not, you're a worthless scumbag of a human being, but only contribute to the project of humanity in these specific ways that we have entailed that give other people power instead of actually doing anything for yourself. It needs to constantly be doing work for others and their own dictates and their own needs. Basically, the forum had that sort of vibe to it, right? I mean, they weren't expressing that necessarily, but it was like people feeling that disassociation from work that was like part of all these like systems of capitalism. Anyways, recently, because of the growing nature of this, a mod on the forum was asked to go onto Fox News, which they accepted, which was a terrible idea because Fox News quite clearly, their intention is going to be to vilify this that type of thing. Like Fox News is an ultra conservative, ultra capitalist channel that's absolutely horrific. Fox News is terrible. So of course their goal is going to be to vilify this, right? So this moderator went on, and by the way, the moderator, from my awareness, is trans as well. I don't know exactly their pronouns, so I'm going to use they, them, but I don't know if they use they, them pronouns as an identity, so apologies if that's incorrect. But I'll get to that in a second. And the interview happened. It was a 3-minute interview, and they did not do a great job of articulating kind of what I just articulated. Not that I'm not saying I would have done better necessarily in that high-stakes environment, but they did not present that viewpoint well. And Fox News is number one, they didn't come on presenting looking well. And again, I'm not saying like people shouldn't need to like look nice, but basically the Fox News successfully painted this person as like a lazy, like the idea is like, oh, you're lazy and don't want to do work. And that's the whole point. You just don't want to aspire to be anything more than a dog walker, and you're just lazy. And it was successful. The interview was very successful at delegitimizing all the things that I was just talking about, right? That painting all those stereotypes of people who are wanting to push back against their culture of constant work as lazy, as not understanding how culture works. I mean, one of the things the Fox News host says, well, like, wait, you're not forced to work. You sign up for the company that you worked at and you can quit at any time. And the person didn't really respond as well with being like, well, number one, our fight is, in a more direct way, our fight is to try and get people who are working at these companies to be better treated so they don't have to leave. It's like if they're working in a dream job, it's something they always wanted to do, they should be treated well for it, regardless of whether or not they love the job or not. If they work crunch hours at a video game company, they may love working video game company, but they shouldn't also have to devote 80-hour work weeks in order to get that done. There should be a balance there. That's our most direct fight with this sort of thing. But in terms of speaking of like overall theory of stuff, it's like, yes, we are forced to work in our society, as the things that I articulated just a moment ago. The person didn't articulate it super well. It was very bad optically. And again, I'm not saying I would have done better in that environment, but like you're going on a platform that is automatically going to be hostile to that. You need to prepare. If you're going to go on Fox News, you need to be prepared that that's the intent that they're going to have. And it worked. It worked. Because of that, sorry, I just got a message. Because of that, sorry, I'm going off on this, but I just want to talk about it because it's just something that's been on my mind. But because of this, because of that vilification working, the Reddit shut down. There was a big panic mode, and it just sort of made the whole thing look foolish, which I don't think it is. I think everything that anti-work sort of represents is a good thing on the whole. I'm sure I have nits and quibbles here and there. But overall, I've stood for it, and it was just frustrating. And so the whole forum just started eating itself and tearing things down. And one of the things that I saw, going back to something we were talking about earlier on in the stream, and by the way, I should say, if you want to aspire to just be a dog walker, that's amazing. Like, if you want to be a dog walker, power to you. Like, dog walkers are wonderful. I want to make sure that's clear. I'm not looking down on anyone who just wants to be a dog walker. Like, we should all want to be whatever we wish to be, and there's no judgment on, like, how important that has to be. dog walkers are amazing and do wonderful work and are great people and work with amazing dogs, and that's wonderful. Anyways, one thing that I want to mention also with that, so that was the overall problem. One also thing too that I was very disappointed and frustrated with is I don't know this. There are some allegations made by the person who was the Redditor mod. I can't speak to that because I don't know the history of that. But one thing I was very frustrated about, regardless of those allegations, which may or may not be true, they may just be vilification of a trans person that constantly happens. They might also be true. I don't know. But one thing I was very frustrated with that situation is so many people questioning this person's trans identity and identification. And it goes to show how whenever this happens in a lot of these movements, that trans people's identity is always contingent on how well we behave or do well for the movement, or do well for other people. It frustrates me that, like, if a trans person screws up, the immediate reaction is to start being transphobic about it. And that happened in the anti-work forum, where I was like, this trans person, yes, did they screw up by going on Fox News in the first place and then not being prepared with the weight that was going to hold and the danger that placed them in? They did not do that. They failed at that. But that doesn't give you the right to question their identity and to insult them. You may be pissed off, but you don't have any right to hurt this person's identity and sense of humanity. But it just goes to show that even in spaces that are ostensibly trans supportive, trans people's identities are inherently only allowed to be or only respected to the point where we are seen as doing well for everybody else, or not, are like helpful to everybody else. And the second we step out of line with that, or fail in that, or don't live up to that ideal, our identity is immediately revoked. Our sense of humanity is immediately revoked, even in spaces that are ostensibly trans progressive. And that was something that was deeply disappointing to me to see. And it's just something that I think is, in that situation, needs to get discussed. Yeah. I mean, you see it in all kinds of spaces, progressive spaces. I mean, even in conservative spaces. You mean, you look at something like, I mean, more obviously in conservative spaces, they highlight the problem. But I mean, you look at someone like, I'm blanking on her name. Caitlyn Jenner. Gets respected as a trans woman by conservatives because she does well for the movement. She's like the one trans person they can say, look, we did it. But, you know, as soon as she steps out of line and says things that people don't like in the conservative movement, she's automatically they automatically dead name her and call her a man and everything. It's more obvious there than in probably more progressive trans accepting spaces, but it's the same dynamic played out in both places. All right, sorry, I missed a ton of super chats and time is actually winding down, so I want to make sure I get to them. Apologies if I missed one. John Vinnels, hard to you, said, is there an argument to be made that Buffy was secretly a QAnon power fantasy with blonde, blue-eyed girl taking a monster that have been often coded as Jewish? I mean, you could probably make that argument. I don't think that would be an overt one that I would make, but you can definitely probably make an argument for that's like codified in our stereotypes of monsters and things like that. I don't think it's like an overt like something that Joss Whedon and the people behind that show would have set out to do that, like, overtly. But you definitely say that, like, cultural biases exist that would probably perpetuate those sort of things, for sure. I'd have to, like, look at the nitty-gritty to be able to, like, add context to that argument. But I'm sure you could probably make that argument, but I wouldn't say, like, that was a conscious thing by any of the creators on it. But you could say, like, you know, some monsters are coded with Jewish stereotypes, as we see of, like, J.K. Rowling and goblins. I don't necessarily, possibly, but I don't necessarily think J.K. Rowling's like, I'm going to make the goblins Jewish. But I think she probably just took stereotypes that were pre-existing and placed them onto goblins, and those many biases were, you know, already coded as Jewish and came from Jewish stereotypes. So I don't think it was a direct one-to-one, like, bigoted link, but you can definitely sort of see those things. So I think you'd probably attribute the same to Buffy in some aspects. Super Desi, heart to you. Thank you so much for your super chat. You said, hello, Jessie. Have a yummy dinner on me when you get back to working on the script. I'm trying out a new name to see how it feels. Oh, well, awesome. That's wonderful, Super Desi. Mwah, mwah, mwah. You are lovely. And see, Jade, heart to you, my friend. Thank you so much. Edward Bedor, heart to you, said, never in my history as a writer have I wrote a happy ending or even imagined one. The closest to happy I ever got is bitter, not bittersweet, just bitter. Do I need help? No, I mean, some writers just don't write happy endings. I mean, it doesn't mean you're a sad person. It's just like where your writing goes. I mean, I see the same thing in a lot of my writing. Like, I will sit down and start writing something, and like, I don't sometimes it's an overt choice, but I always try to end my videos. I found that in my writing, my tendency was always to kind of try to create a more optimistic, happy ending in things, to have that sort of like come around to like a more positive view of things. Even in my like nonfiction stuff, I always kind of end on that, like, at least if not happy, more optimistic, hopeful note. But that wasn't necessarily a conscious thing. As you write more, you start to recognize these tropes that you, like, not tropes, but these things that you fall into. And once you recognize the things that you fall into, you can subvert them, improve them, negate them or fix them. I mean, that's the point of writing, right? You see what your tendencies are, and you can either lean into them if there's something you like and want to improve upon. You can subvert them if something you don't want to lean into. So there's nothing wrong with having bittersweet endings. If that's something that you're good at writing and that's what your writing leans into, I don't think that necessarily reflects on your character as a whole or your outlook on the world as a whole. It just tends to be where you lean into your writing. And you can, if now that you recognize that, you can either subvert that, you can lean into it if you think it's something you want to play around more with and explore. But I don't think that that's a reflection on you as a person in any way. Heart to you, Punk Rock Swell. It's just heart. Thank you so much to your super chat. Said, hey Jesse, sending love and hope you're doing okay. I am doing okay. Mwah. You are lovely, Punk Rock Swell. I'm sending you love. Hauntus Farmer, heart to you, my friend. You said, have you heard of a turfy app called Giggle? I have. Claims it can use face rec to filter us out. I got in. I bet you would too. We should troll that app. I actually, there's an element of me that wanted to do a video on Giggle, the Turfy Giggle app. But I would want to do it in a way that wasn't just like, look how stupid turfs are. Because again, I don't think that's feeds into that antagonistic discourse. I mean, I find it funny as all hell. For those of you who don't know, Giggle is an app that was supposed to, like, they take a picture. It's a turfy app that was like a dating app that, like, takes a picture of you and supposedly be able to tell if you're a trans person in disguise, or tell if you're a trans person by your facial features. But it would filter out many cis women for, like, having some quote unquote masculine facial features and let many trans people in, who do more pass under like current societal terms of femininity. And it just goes to what we were speaking about earlier on in the stream, right? With like turfy people like hating on cis women who they think don't match up to their idea of womanhood because they think that they're trans, like a more butch presenting cis woman who doesn't meet up to their feminine standards. And it like reveals how TERF's viewpoint is actually reinforcing patriarchal gender roles as opposed to breaking them down as they ostensibly say trans people are. Whereas trans people, our identities inherently like challenge the idea of rigidly defined gender roles. So it's like the pot calling the kettle black sort of thing. But except for the pot calling the kettle black, except for the kettle is like a rainbow kettle and the pot is just a black kettle. This is a bad metaphor. You know what I mean? But anyways, so yeah, I wanted to do a video on that, but I would, if I did that, I would probably have some of those jokes in there, but it would probably get at what I just said, like kind of towards that thing. But I did want to do a video on it at some point, but I don't know if I will, because I would want it to not fall into that antagonism, like, oh, TERFs is stupid, which not necessarily untrue, but I think requires, again, more nuance than just that, if I was going to make a video on it. B. Arthur, hard to you, said, on Encanto, so Mirabel's gift is the love of family, keeping everyone together, right? Yeah, I mean, that's I think that is her gift. I loved that she didn't get like an overt superpower at the end. Like part of me at the beginning so she's gonna get a superpower, and I think that's meh. I actually like by the end of the movie she doesn't get like an overt superpower, and so maybe her gift is keeping the family together. I really appreciated that. I thought that was absolutely wonderful with that movie. Heart to you, that Reddit mod should have really looked over some media training courses on before going on TV. Yeah, you're talking about the r/Reddit anti-work mod. Yeah, I mean that's the thing is like again. On some level, there's like an element of me of like, I get it. Fuck Fox News. I'm gonna show up. Like if there's an element of me that's like, yeah, if I got invited on Fox News, I would love to show up, just being like, I don't know, wear pajamas and jeans and not do anything with my face because I don't really care. Screw Fox News. Like screw Fox News. I'm not gonna do something nice for you because you suck. But that being said, you know, as much as I would say screw Fox News, I'm going to show up in my pajamas and everything. That's the feeling that I would want to give. You know, the goal of if you take a thing like that, the goal of Fox News is to vilify you. The goal that if you're going on a show like that to talk about something like this, your goal should be to try to present the best possible light to speak to people that Fox News's audiences reach. And it just didn't seem like this person realized that like that was what they were like the goal should have been. The goal should have been to evangelize to an audience that inherently would be hostile towards this type of content. Like people on Fox News are inherently hostile. Both on Fox News and viewers of Fox News are inherently hostile to this sort of like concepts. And so it's like you want to be very careful with how you present that so that you're speaking to the people in a way that would make those concepts palatable. And so as much as I hate the respectability stuff, like showing up in a nice outfit, looking nice, speaking calmly, being very clear and concise with everything. While it's something that like I don't think we should all be doing all the time, and I don't think we need to. I think that like that sort of element is what you need to do when you're going into functions, because they are going to try and trap you, and so that's the issue. And so yeah, they probably should have done a more media training on that level. Also, I apologize if I missed. I'm gonna stick around for about 5 more minutes. Asa Rogers. Oh, I love you so much. You have saved my life. I'm honored by that. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I'm glad that I was able to help you in this time. But no, you saved your life. I may have been helpful in that, but you saved your life. Don't take away your own agency in your ability to take care of yourself. You saved your own life, and I'm happy to have inspired that and helped that. But know that you did that yourself, and you should take pride in that as well, that you saved your own life. I just want to also say, too, because my chat thing doesn't let me scroll back. If I missed anyone's super chat, I apologize. Put an @ if you want to just @ me in the live stream. Just say, hey Jesse, you missed my super chat. Here's the thing. I'll trust you, and I'll try and answer it in the next 5 minutes or so, because I might have missed a super chat or two because my thing wouldn't let me scroll back up. So apologies on that front. Bitter Lie says, Heart, just found your vids with the talk about Lindsay leaving YouTube. You read about your experience of gender performatism has helped me understand myself. Oh, well, I'm glad, Bitter Lies. I'm really appreciative. Thank you very much, Bitter Lies. Mwah, mwah. Welcome to the community, my new friend. Mwah, 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 mwah. Kai, my first time catching your streams. I want to say how much I love your channel. They remind me to approach the world with empathy and nuance, so thanks. Oh, thank you very much, Kai. Mwah. Heart to you, my new friend. I'm glad you're here for the live stream. You are absolutely wonderful. Is Jessie still doing improv classes? How did shows go? I'm not doing improv classes right now. My class actually ended at the end of last year. So, I did do a show, and the show went really, really well. It was a lot of fun. We did like a whole show about bees, and it was improv. So it was weird stuff happened. It was a lot of fun. But they are having, auditions for improv shows next month. Here in Seattle at the company that I do a lot of the work at. So I'm going to be auditioning for some improv shows next month. So check for that. So if you're in Seattle, I might hopefully be in an improv show. We'll see if I actually get cast, but I'll be going to the audition. So we'll see how that all shakes out in the long run. So I might be doing more improv in the near future, but it sort of depends on if I get cast or not. So we'll see. Black Cover says, what do you think of the Ensign's log? Would you ever do a guest appearance? I mean, I would love to do a guest appearance. I've listened to some of the Ensign's log that Steve Shives does, just his own improv podcast, Star Trek themed podcast, that he does with one of his friends. I've listened to a few episodes. Steve is really great and funny on it. I would love to guest on it. I've not been asked, so that's up to Steve. And by no means, I'm not pressuring Steve to do that. But if Steve ever would want to have me on, I would be more than happy to say yes to being on the podcast. But yeah, it's great. Wonderful. Steve's wonderful. And I would be happy to be on the podcast if he ever invited me. So that's on Steve, though. So is that a Mugatu shirt? Yes, it is a Mugatu shirt. Mugatu from Lower Decks. So this is from the original series, but this shirt is specifically from the Lower Decks version of the Mugatus. So I never played The Missing. I have not. Things that I played, I'm almost done with Dark Souls. Very close to beating Dark Souls. So actually this weekend, Saturday, this will be one of the questions I'll ask the chat before we finish up. I'm trying to debate what I want to play next weekend, on Saturday for the drunk stream, because I could play, I'm about to finish Dark Souls, but I'm going to save that off camera, because I'll need to finish that for GameSpot, and then when I do some stuff specific for that. But, so that leaves me, I do want to play, there is, what's coming out soon? There is the Horizon Forbidden West, which I really want to play, but that's not going to be out yet. So I'm debating, do I want to play Dark Souls 2, Demon Souls, the remake of Demon Souls that just came out. So I could do Demon Souls. I've never played any of these. I'm having like a Dark Souls hankering because I've never played Dark Souls, the whole series. So I beat Dark Souls almost. I'm having a hankering to play more. So it's like Demon Souls, Dark Souls 2, which I know is the contentious one in the bunch, because I'm going to play the whole franchise. I want to play Dark Souls 3 and Bloodborne and all that stuff eventually too. I have them all now. But I've never played Dark Souls 2, never played Demon Souls. Or should I play, because there's not a lot of time for Horizon Forbidden West, I don't know if I have enough time to beat Dark Souls or Demon Souls before Horizon Forbidden West comes out. I was also thinking possibly jumping back into Jedi Fallen Order, which is a Dark Souls-like that I've already beaten. I've beaten Jedi Fallen Order before, so it might be a fun game to do on stream. Because I can replay it, get that sort of Dark Souls fix for now, and then when Horizon Forbidden West comes, play that on stream, and then from there maybe like Elden Ring, and then we'll play Dark Souls 2 and Dark Souls 3 when I have time down the road. So I'll definitely play them, and probably play some of them on stream. It's just sort of like the order of it, so. Bloodborne. I want to play, don't worry, we will play Bloodborne. My thought is I want to play Bloodborne last, because it's supposedly the best, and it feels like it'd be my favorite aesthetic. But I don't want to start with, everyone's like, play Bloodborne now. And it's like, no, I just played Dark Souls. So I want to play Demon Souls, Dark Souls 2, then Dark Souls 3, then Bloodborne. I know there's Sekiro as well in there too, and then Elden Ring that you'll be able to toss as well. So I do want to play Bloodborne. Everyone's excited for me to play Bloodborne. I will do Bloodborne on a stream, but it's not the next one. I kind of want to go through the games in order and like appreciate like how they grew as a genre. So. Ooh, okay, yeah, maybe I'll do Jedi Fallen Order, because then I could play that, and if I don't beat it and re-beat it in time for Horizon's Forbidden West, then I won't feel bad, and I'll be like, all right, I'll play Jedi Fallen Order as far as I can, and then when Horizon Forbidden West comes out, I'll play that, and that'll be the next game, so. Ghost of Tsushima is great, too. I've beaten that one as well, so. Everyone says skip Dark Souls 2. Everyone hates Dark Souls 2, but I want to play it. I know that there's controversy about it, compared to Dark Souls 1 and 3. But I want to play the whole franchise, so I'm going to play Dark Souls 2. It may end up being my least favorite, but then I will know why it's my least favorite. So, we'll see. Maybe I'll love it. I know it's controversial, so maybe I'll end up loving it. So, we'll see. Everybody, I have to go because I'm going to go eat dinner, and then I have to work on this Joss Whedon script that I'll probably be working on the rest of the night because I have thoughts to articulate. But I love you all. Oh, nice! Right now, another YouTuber, Barbarous King. Oh, that's wonderful, Knit and Crochet Tiger. But yeah, quick announcements before I wrap out for the night. Just so people know, so it is looking like my intention was to have the Matrix video go up tomorrow. My 2-hour analysis of the Matrix Resurrections. Sadly, that is not going to be the case. So, you will all get to see the Matrix Resurrections video. There's going to be a couple ways to see it, though. Number one, the biggest way, if you just want to... Oh, thank you, Just My Dog. If you really want to deep dive, try to get a hold of Kingsfield. Oh, I do want to get Kingsfield and Shadow Tower. I do want to play those. Do not skip Dark Souls. I won't. But quick announcement. So, with the Matrix Resurrections video, there's going to be 3 ways to see it, essentially. One, the easiest way, if you're a YouTube person, is I'm going to be releasing it next Friday. Because currently, the reason that I'm not going to be able to release it tomorrow is because there's a bunch of copyright claims stuff on the video. And so, as a result, I've had to, like, appeal the copyright stuff. And that will happen. I'm 100% certain it will because I've got some help from people at Nebula on that. So it will happen, and this is one thing I'm really pleased about is Nebula helps me with these claims now, so it's not just me. So that's super kind of them. And sort of back me up on that. So it will get through. The problem is there's currently a process of wait time that I have to go through, like a 30-day wait time since when I first uploaded the video. So since when I first uploaded the video will end, I think, next Wednesday or Thursday, something like that. The latest I will do the video will be next Friday. So my plan currently is I'm going to release the Matrix video on this platform on Friday. Next Friday. So, very latest, you will get to see the Matrix video next Friday. And then probably the Joss Whedon video 2 weeks from then. But if you want to see it early, if you don't want to wait until next Friday to see the Matrix video, I will share out the link tomorrow. But the video will also be on Nebula tomorrow. And it's already on my Patreon. So if you want to watch the video now, it's on my Patreon. If you want to watch it tomorrow without being on my Patreon, totally understand. It's going to be on Nebula tomorrow. And I'll share out the link tomorrow when it's up. And then next Friday, if you don't want to do either of those, which again, totally understand, those platforms cost money and save your money if you so wish to. Totally understand. If you want to get it for free, it will be here on YouTube next Friday. So that's the current slate of how that's going to work out. You will get to see the Matrix video as of next Friday. Aronach, I'm so sorry. I've seen you a few times in chat and I meant to call you out. Love you, Aronach. Mwah, you're lovely. Apologies that I didn't say hi earlier, but love you. But that's going to be the way that it works. So That's the schedule for the Matrix video. YouTube next Friday, Nebula tomorrow, Patreon right now if you want it. And then this Saturday, I'll be doing my drunk stream. I'm probably feeling Jedi Fallen Order. We'll see if that shakes up by Saturday. But Saturday, I'll be doing my drunk stream as per usual. So that's the current schedule of events. Mwah! I love you all. I adore you. Heart to you. I will see you all on Saturday for the drunk stream, and then next Friday for the Matrix video, or already on Patreon or on Nebula if you're excited for that. But I love you all. I adore you all. Have a wonderful night. Mwah. I'm gonna have dinner and head back into unfortunately Joss Whedon land. So mwah, mwah, mwah. Have a wonderful night, my friends.